John and Rick here with an extended Saturday morning jukebox. And of course, we expect a very exciting show this coming Friday night as Felix Cavalier's Rascals perform at the Little River Casino in Manistee. And joining us this morning is a guy who not only went on to enjoy solo success as an artist and producer, but of course, as the lead singer for the Young Rascals. Joining us is Felix Cavalier.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, Felix. We look forward to having you in Michigan. How often do you get to this part of the country?
Well, we usually get up there at least once a year, maybe twice a year. There's so many great cities in Michigan that we can perform at, and especially in the warm weather, it's a gas.
It sure is. Of course, you start out. You're born in New York, and your parents. Well, your dad is a dentist. Your mom's a pharmacist. So you had two professionals as parents, huh?
Yeah, and that basically was the road I was starting to, embark on, and went to Syracuse University for a while, and then decided music was really, really, really the way to go for me.
Now, you actually started out, your mom had you take classical piano lessons from the time you were 6 to about 14. So were you one of these kids, Felix, that actually looked forward to the lessons, or it was like, okay, I can do this and I can go out and play baseball or something?
It was kind of a combination because really it was very intensive lessons. There was 2 a week, and that went on for 8 years of my life. So it was, can't really say you look forward to it when you'd rather be out playing with the guys. But bottom line is that it worked. It worked out to give me a good education musically, and I can't complain about it at this time.
Interestingly enough, obviously born in the part of New York you were, there'd been a lot of New Jersey influence. But I don't at least denote in your music a whole lot of the Frankie Valli type of influence or the doo-wop groups. Was there more of that I'm picking up?
No, we were actually a little later than that. That was more of a 50s phenomenon. Those guys. I mean, I know them well and I love them, but we came around after that. At least my musical talents, my musical tastes, my musical kind of energies were really around what Alan Freed was playing that time in New York City. The rock and roll sort of initiation came to New York, and we were listening to Flamingos and Miracles and Smokey, Marvin Gaye, and we were listening to Fats Domino. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It was a lot different than just basically what you would call doo-wop,
Sure. I see you also were a member of Joey D and the Starlighters. Of course, they had the big hit, the Peppermint Twist. Now, were you with them at that time?
No, I was not. No, I was afterwards. I was about the third incarnation.
Okay.
And they were in Europe. They needed a keyboard player kind of quickly because their keyboard player left. So I worked with them overseas, and it was right around the 60s, and got a chance to work actually with the Beatles over there with them. Before they came to the U.S., they were in Germany, they were in Sweden, et cetera, et cetera. We were on the same bill. And that was quite interesting because you see for the first time what everybody was about to see on the Ed Sullivan Show.
I was going to ask you that, Felix. We've talked to some other acts that have toured with the Beatles, kind of pre-Beatlemania over here.
Right.
Could you even imagine that they're going to be as big as they obviously turned out to be?
Well, I mean, you didn't know what was happening because everybody was screaming so loudly. You just, kind of looked at it like some sort of a phenomenon. So obviously you knew something was happening. And it was pretty interesting to me because, I'm a young kid, I'm coming out into the world of rock and roll, and they really, obviously when I saw them, they hadn't really gotten into their real serious writing. They were doing their first songs like everybody else. They were more of a freshman endeavor rather than getting to the phenomenal heights that they reached.
Talk to us about forming the Young Rascals, how that all came about for you, Felix.
Well, basically, after that, I just kind of realized that, what they're doing can be done. And, when I had the opportunity to do so, I asked a group of guys. I really tried to carefully select a group of guys that I thought could make it really quickly, and that's exactly what happened. We had, at that time, one of the best drummers in the land, Dino Danelli. Gene Cornish came from upstate New York. Eddie Brigatti, a fine singer, and I really thought we had the goods to really kind of get somewhere, and lo and behold, in 6 months we had a record deal, so it kind of worked out.
Now, were you the sole writer? Did you guys
we collaborated. Okay. I mean, Eddie and I, we did like a lyric music kind of thing, and tried to mix and match as much as possible, although he really was not much of a musician. He was more of a lyricist. And vice versa. I'm more of a musician than a lyricist. So it worked out really well.
What was that first one that really put you guys on the map?
Well, I think the real song that put us on the map, of course, we didn't write, was Good Lovin'.
Mm-hmm.
That did it.
1, 2, 3. Good love. Good love. Good love. Good love. I was feeling so bad. I asked my family doctor just what I had. I said, Doctor, Mr. MD, Doctor, now can you tell me what's ailing me, Doctor? He said, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yes, indeed. All I really need, good love. Now give me that good, good love. Good love. All I need is love. Good love. Good loving, baby. Good love. Now, honey, please, squeeze me tight. Squeeze me tight. Don't you want your baby to be alright? Be alright. I said, baby, now it's for sure. It's for sure. I got the fever, yeah. You got the cure. Got the cure. Everybody, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yes, indeed. All I really need is good love. Now come on, now give me that love. Good love. All I need is love. Good love. Good loving, baby. Good love.
That it was kind of sort of like getting back up to that level in terms of sales, which was very difficult. It's very difficult to follow a big hit like Good Lovin'. And, like especially when you really haven't had time to really hone your writing talents and get, to where you want to get. And then all of a sudden you're cast into the top of the charts. Okay. Well, nobody was complaining about that, of course. It's just that was a challenge.
Right.
And we were very fortunate that we were able to kind of meet that challenge. Otherwise, we might not have been able to continue to write because record companies, really, with all due respect, they just want hits. They don't really care who writes them. Sure. They don't really care about anything like that. They just want to get you on the charts, and once you're there, they want to keep you there, And we were very fortunate that the first hit that we had after that was I've Been Lonely Too Long.
Searching, now I find that I can choose. I'm free. Oh yeah. So funny, I just have to laugh. All my trouble been torn in half. I've been lonely too long. Been lonely too long. Lonely too long. Been lonely. In the past they've come and gone. I feel like I can't. Lonely too long. I've been lonely so long. Lonely. To see me now, Now look at me, gliding through this world of beauty. Everything I do brings ecstasy. Oh yeah, no wonder I could die. I feel like I'm about 10 miles high. Been lonely too long, lonely too long. Find myself somebody, don't have to be alone no more. 'Cause I'm lonely so long.
In our Legends Spotlight today, we're talking to Felix Cavalier of the Young Rascals. We're talking mostly about 1965. You'd formed the Young Rascals, signed with Atlantic Records, already had a #1 chart-topping hit, and then you had a chance to tour with a guy who was an absolute hero of my youth, and that's Soupy Sales. Tell us about working with Soupy.
Yeah, well, Soupy, rest his soul, man, was just one of the nicest and most charming human beings I've ever met. In the beginning of our career, we were really trying to find a way to be noticed, and he had a great television show at that time, and so we tried to hook up with him, and we were successful in hooking up with him to do some shows with his songs. And this is, of course, before we signed to Atlantic, and before anybody even knew who the heck we were. We backed him up on a couple of shows because he had some hits. He had a song called "The Mouse," and he had Bahalafaka, and they were all part of his act. But still, he got on the radio with those, so we played them for him.
I tell you, one of my personal favorites, I liked all of your stuff, Felix, but Groovin' just had, really, that song said it all. I mean, just a lazy Sunday day. The tune was perfect for it. The feel was perfect for it. And that's exactly what it was about, I guess, was just kind of hanging around on a Sunday, wasn't it?
It had to do with being with a lady at that time and working on Friday, Saturday nights as a musician, so that the Sunday was really that you could get together. That's really what it was about. It was kind of like being with somebody you love on a Sunday afternoon.
Groovy on a Sunday afternoon. Really couldn't get away too soon. I can't imagine anything that's better. The world is ours whenever we're together. There ain't a place I like to be instead of moving down a crowded avenue. Doing anything we like to do. There's always lots of things that we can see. We can be anyone we like to be. All those happy people we could meet just moving on a Sunday afternoon. Really couldn't get away too soon. No, 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 no. We'll keep on spending sunny days this way. We're gonna talk and laugh our time away. I feel it coming closer day by day. Life would be ecstasy, you and me endlessly moving on a Sunday afternoon. Really couldn't get away too soon. No, 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 no.
Of course, Groovin' took you all the way to top the charts once again in 1967. We were starting to come into the flower power era, and through your writing, how much of what was happening in the United States and around the world, because, boy, there was such a generation gap, there was a real difference occurring, and how much of that really found its way into your writing?
Well, all of it. I mean, I think that's one of the things that really makes the 60s very special. is the fact that, we had no internet. We had no real kind of like other diversions. Music was our kind of link to each other really around the world. As you say, Beatles, Stones, English people, kind of like making music coming to America, and we're all growing up at the same time. And I see that when we do shows now, there's a bond there amongst all of us that we were kind of experiencing the same things, like in America, of course, we had a lot of issues, I'll just keep it very simple and say that, they influenced the whole world. As a result, we're all kind of sort of on the same page. We're all like experiencing life together, romances, breakups, some experimental kind of stuff in the world that, to be named later, and we're all going through the same growth period. And that's the beauty of, I believe, the 60s, is that togetherness.
Later on in 1967, another one of our giant favorites had a little bit different taste to it, and that was a song that went all the way to number 4. It was called How Can I Be Sure? And really so melodic, and so as a lead singer, what a great song to put a different flavor in.
Yes.
How can I be sure in a world that's constantly changing? How can I be sure where I stand with you? Whenever I'm away from you, I wanna die, 'cause I wanna stay with you. How do I know? Maybe you're trying to use me. Flying too high can confuse me. Touch me, but don't take me down. Whenever I'm away from you, my alibi is telling people I don't care for you. Maybe I'm just hanging around with my head upside down. It's a pity I can't seem to find someone who's as pretty and lovely as you. How can I be sure? I really, really, really wanna know. I really, really, really wanna know. Hey. Oh, 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 how's the weather? Whether or not we're together, we'll see it much better. I love you forever. You know where I can be found. How can I be sure in a world that's constantly changing? How can I be sure I'll be sure with you?
Well, again, now, see the numbers that you quote, I really, those numbers are really kind of meaningless, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Because, in the charts that we had, that went to number 2, and it has totally eclipsed the song that was number 1 in terms of longevity.
Sure.
That stuff there is kind of like, it's just politics. Let me just explain that to you right now. If you know the right people and the record companies attached, you become a number 1, and your price goes up.
Sure.
So, what I say is we had a hit. And that's a big deal, because the bottom line is it's difficult to have a hit. Mm-hmm. And it's very difficult to have a hit with all of the tremendously talented people that are out there, and so I'm really proud that a song like that, I don't think that song could be a hit today, quite frankly. I don't think that could squeeze its way through the charts, because, the musical tastes are not as diverse as they used to be. We used to have we used to have these wonderful people over there in England making these fantastic songs that they had to play on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
They had to play a Beatles. They had to play Stones. And as a result, they got the audience's ears kind of tuned into, like a Michelle or a Yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So we can do How Can I Be Sure now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But
Sure.
Today, I don't know if that would work, man. I don't think really a good song, or I just don't know if you can get through the muck today.
I know one of the things that John and I talk about constantly is that back in the 60s, 70s, there was subtlety in the lyrics. In fact, a lot of times when hearing a great song, you might not necessarily be exactly sure what the artist intended to say. In fact, recently we had Mark Lindsay of Paul Revere and the Raiders that had said, it wasn't until after the audience heard a song that I knew what the thing was about. In fact, those were just the kind of beautiful subtleties. The lyrics were actual artistry, and today they're really in-your-face, obvious kind of lyrics. Are you finding that to be true?
Well, today's a whole different planet. Absolutely. I mean, and it's really mind-boggling what the heck they're able to say. I mean, the Stones got in trouble for saying let's spend the night together.
Yeah.
Can you imagine now? Sullivan would probably pass out if he, I mean, how about CeeLo Green's song #1?
Yes, exactly.
I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
But again, is that really necessary? I guess it's necessary to show how cool we are. We're cool because we can say 4-letter words.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on, man. You can't think of anything else? Nope.
Yeah.
Can't do it. And so, as a result, the entire language is going into the toilet, and, cool. So, we'll all just be idiots.
Right.
Couldn't agree more.
I mean, that's what's happening. When you go all the way back to, like, what people were saying in the Shakespeare days, you go like, well, I guess the ball is not going upwards. It's certainly going downwards, So what can you do, And if you have kids and grandkids, you just try to say, well, okay, let me show you what the English language was at one time. And, of course, that's ludicrous to think that we could even speak like that now. But the general meaning is, come on, man, let's show a little culture and art. And it doesn't happen anymore. It's not about culture now. It's about flash.
Mm-hmm.
And the more flash you have, the more money you make, I guess. And, okay. I mean, it's cool. But I'll tell you, like right now, I'm just glad that I was part of the 60s.
Sure.
And because I don't think I could do this. I mean, first of all, I would have to be a hell of a lot better dancer.
Oh, yeah, what a
and
difference.
a hell of a lot better looking guy. And I don't know, as I say, but I'm so glad that, we had what we had then, because we had a ball. And what really sticks to me is the fact that the music is still around.
It's a beautiful morning. I think I'll go outside for a while and just smile. Just taking some clean, fresh air for me. Staying inside. If the weather's fine and you got the time, it's your chance to wake up and plan another brand new day. Either way, it's a beautiful morning. Each bird keeps singing his own song. So long, I've got to be on my way now. No fun just hanging around. I got to cover ground, you couldn't keep it down. It just ain't no good if the sun's shining, you're still inside. Still inside. Still inside. Still inside. There will be children with robins and flowers. Sunshine caresses each new waking hour. Seems to me that people keep seeing more and more each day. Gotta say, lead the way. It's okay. Gotta say, it's okay. All right. Lead the way. Oh,
big deal for me because, you know, like, I mean, if you think about it, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, exactly. I know Rick and I are always talking about on our show, even though, you know, it's geared towards like the 1950s all the way to the early 80s, when we get a 20-something that calls us, you know, and they're discovering that music. I'm sure you're finding that with your stuff. They're discovering that's new music to this whole generation. That's a thrill, isn't it?
Well, it is, you know, and a lot younger than that too sometimes, you know, and the thing is, it's like over at, you know, I used to do some lectures over at Berklee School of Music on the East Coast there. And they were very concerned about the jazz people.
Mm-hmm.
The rock people and the jazz people used to clash, you know, and they just say, like, man, you know, like, we don't want to teach that rock and roll stuff here, you know, and, of course, there wouldn't be any students if they didn't, you know.
Right.
But on the other hand, the people who are talented and, I hate to say the word intelligent, but it is, to really kind of dig into the jazz world, they're going to do that anyway.
Sure.
You know, because they're going to get bored with this, you know, the other stuff that really doesn't even scratch the surface of what they're capable of. And I like to think that's what's happening, is that these younger people are saying, like, let me check this out, you know?
Right.
And, you know, there was a lot of great music in those days, and you know, that's why we're still here, still doing it.
Felix, one of the things that you mentioned, too, was the Stones in a particular song, Let's Spend the Night Together. And, of course, when they appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show, they wanted them to change those lyrics. And John and I have always mentioned, when we get the chance, we have to ask a great artist like you who had a chance to appear on Ed Sullivan what the atmosphere was like backstage and, you know, just what that was all about.
Ed Sullivan was a variety show. Very interesting, because there's no more shows like that.
No.
What he did was he was given a certain amount of money to put together a show for 1 hour on a Sunday night. And he actually paid at a much higher rate. In other words, whatever your concert fee was, that's what you got for doing that show. Whereas in the later years, it's a union scale.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very different, and it was treated as such. So in other words, if he got somebody that was a comedian, he paid them their fee, and they came on and got their little stint. We also rehearsed for 6 days. We went on a Monday morning at approximately 8 a.m., and we worked all the way through Saturday. Saturday night, there was a complete dress rehearsal in front of an audience, untelevised, and then the big thing went on Sunday night. It was like a show business atmosphere. It was really very, very cool because, you know, you had comedians, you had actors, you had puppets, you had rock and roll. Later, the rock and roll kind of took the spotlight, you know, because it was like the beginning and the end of the show to get the viewers. And it was a madhouse because it was live. He would just kind of like drift. In other words, he'd see somebody he knew in the audience, and all of a sudden there goes your time slot. You know, because he was an older dude, you know, and he just started talking. Okay, there went the 35 seconds that you were supposed to do the chorus of your song, you know.
Right.
And that's what happened. So it was always like a very tense, like on-edge situation, which is gone now because everything's taped.
Sure.
So, you know, you can do it over, and you can really hone it and, you know, like get a better shot at the vocals and get a better shot. But those days, that was it, man. You did it, and I tell you, quite frankly, other than the excitement, it was really a tough thing to do. And one of the reasons was because, with all due respect, I really don't think they gave a damn what it sounded like.
Right.
You know, and it was embarrassing to go home and face your friends when you sounded like that.
Sure.
It was a union thing, and the union guys, you know, I don't think they really gave a damn, man. I'll tell you the truth. In later years, the shows came around, like Don Kirshner's show.
Yeah.
And they really cared about it. Of course, Letterman and stuff like that, man. And when you go there, they got a full recording studio. You can try it out, and, you know, it comes out really nice now.
Sure.
So it was kind of an interesting thing. Yeah, you got a lot of publicity, but, man, it was frustrating.
Yeah.
Really frustrating to do. And the memories I have of that are they're kind of really, really interesting. You know, we really enjoyed meeting a lot of these stars, you know, that we would never meet, you know, like a lot of the comedians.
Right.
And a lot of the movie people and stuff like that you never cross paths with. It was exciting. That's the only word I can say. The best thing to do is to leave all the negativity out, you know?
Not to mention, you always wondered how he's going to slaughter a name or two, right? I mean, Chuck and Ed Sullivan, he killed everybody's name, didn't he?
He was an old guy. He was not a young dude by the time we got there. He was up there, and
right.
Frankly, I think he was a little bit thrown by all of this rock and roll stuff. I don't think he really was a fan. I mean, we had a run-in with them over the years because, if you're going to use our names as the stars of the show, then you better give us the right dressing room, man. Don't put us in the closet and have somebody that you know. Really, how you were treated in those days is like, you're some sort of weirdo, which we were. I mean, I'll admit it. I mean, we weren't normal people as far as they were concerned with the suit and ties and, and it was kind of like a really interesting to me, some of the things that happened there because, it was show business. Mm-hmm. And show business is certainly a lot different now, but this was the old-fashioned show business.
I would have to think, too, that part of that was because the rock culture was so tuned to the either late teens or the 20s. And here's Ed, who was like 150. He was much more in tune with a Steve Lawrence, Edie Gourmet. I'm sure that was his comfort zone.
Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm. There's not a doubt about it. He didn't know what the hell hit him.
1968, the world politically was changing. Crazy things were happening. The Democratic Convention. We had rioting in 67 and 68. Flower Power continues. But you have a couple of huge hits with A Beautiful Morning, and then you were moved because of some of those real negative political events to write a song that also topped the charts. Can you tell us about that one?
Well, I think you're speaking of People Got to Be Free, and, I think that, those days, many of us were really involved with what was going on in the world. It wasn't, I don't know today if people are as involved, whether they be musicians or not, because they seem to get slapped in the face when they start to get into other things, but we were really involved. I mean, especially those are the people that, got drafted, and we lost our friends over there, and, us being on Atlantic, we were surrounded entirely by the black community. Mm-hmm. So when an assassination takes place, we're right there, man. We're right in the ghetto, so to speak, of the world of show business, music, life, and watching the way that stuff affected people was what really brought that song out. Because we were there when Martin Luther King, there meaning at Atlantic Records, mm-hmm. and we were probably the only white guys in the friggin' building.
Yeah.
So, you see the kind of emotion that was going on there, the crying and, the loss of kind of hope and, that sticks to you.
Sure.
And then I was working, on the Robert Kennedy campaign, very, highly involved at that time in trying to, do what I thought was the best thing for the country. So I was with a woman, I was dating a woman at that time who was actually there when he was assassinated. So
the ballroom.
Yeah. And that made quite a dent in my brain. So I had to, I just felt like, look, we just got to say something here that just at least draws a line in the sand and lets people know where we're coming from.
And
that's
obviously,
all.
Struck a Nerve became the biggest hit that you ever had, and obviously you were trying to make a statement that obviously was felt by the nation.
All the world over so easy to see. People everywhere just want to be free. Listen, please, listen, that's the way it should be. Peace in the valley, people got to be free. You should see what a lovely, lovely world is to be. Everyone
Yeah, and around the world too. South Africa at that time was experiencing apartheid, and Hong Kong was still under the the Chinese or whatever was going on over there, and that was number one there. In Berlin, it was number one, which was still under the Iron Curtain. It was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It was a really amazing time, and as I say, I look at that and say, well, I'm glad I did that.
69 comes along, Felix, and actually the Rascals kind of change a different direction. You become more of a kind of a jazz combo. You do a double album, and you really change directions a little bit, don't you?
Well, the group split up around there. We were really having difficulties internally. And, you rightly or wrongly try to get a new direction because the old direction doesn't have the same components as you did. And, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work.
Sure.
Most of the time, the audience kind of rejects, the idea that you're making a change.
Right.
They don't like it. But, when you don't have the same personnel, you can't do the same stuff. You just can't do it.
Sure.
And we put together a band at that time, which, the guys in that band were really phenomenal musicians, just phenomenal.
Uh-huh.
But, as I say, there's a certain kind of onus that's on a group once they're, known. You got to deal with that. Like a lot of people, from Mick Jagger to the rest of them, they were really unable to leave their groups and start something new. Very few. McCartney, I think, is one of the exceptions. Of course, he's exceptional in a lot of ways.
And, of course, you work with some great talent. You talked about that. You eventually, as you get away from the Rascals, you're working at the old Stack Studio down south with Steve Cropper, put together an album with him. So you've really worked with some fantastically gifted musicians, as you are yourself.
Well, thank you. Yeah, the whole thing is to really enjoy what you do and, try to make a contribution to the world that you take your career in, which in my case is music. That's all you can really do, and it's difficult really now because it's so diverse and it's so crazy that you really don't even get heard half the time, But those that tune in, like evidently you guys and people of your audience, that that follow people or follow their lines, they do tune in. But it's very, very just different today. It has a lot to do with money and connections and hype, and in a way, I guess it always did, but not to this extent. This is crazy, because if you got the money to back someone to the tremendous heights that some of the new artists are, you can get over.
Sure.
And then it's pretty interesting to see how those people kind of try to keep up to that level.
Of course, the purest part of the music world is the songwriter, and you have to feel very gratified to be in the Songwriters Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I do. I really appreciate that honor because the songwriting to me is really very, very, very interesting way to think. Because you're not really performing. You're kind of like trying to find something that says something to everyone or to a certain group of people that you think might be interested in that, and to make it not too serious and not too light. Phil Spector used to say there's a line between too square and too hip, right down that middle. Even though his personal life may be a disaster, man, he had hit after hit after hit after hit after hit, and it's really hard to keep that, place. Yeah. And now, I don't even know what to say now because I moved down to Nashville to write. Uh-huh. That's really what I wanted to do, really for the rest of my life, is write for myself and other people. And, it's a struggle to kind of try to understand what's going on in people's minds, but it's just, that's the most creative part of the business right there.
And obviously you're in Nashville, so when you think Nashville, even rightly or wrongly, you're thinking of the country music era.
Right.
Is that the direction you took as far as a writer?
No, I really don't know that stuff that well, although today it's a lot easier to know it than it was in the past because it's really almost like Eagles stuff now.
Absolutely.
Right.
But the reason I came here was to write. There's so many great writers down here, and just, kind of raise a family and, get into the world of music as opposed to living on the East Coast. I lived in Connecticut, and it was really very, very difficult to be around people that, were not in the music industry or had nothing to do with it. They kind of really don't know, what it's all about. And, we don't know what their world's all about.
Sure.
So down here is the opposite. People really understand music and publishing and songwriting and recording and, getting paid 4 times a year instead of every week. It's a different way of life.
Of course, Felix Cavalier's Rascals traveling just about every weekend of the year. Are you ever running into some of your old artist friends while out on the road?
Yeah, and that's a real treat. It always is. It's kind of like a reunion almost,
Sure.
But that's a real treat because we're all spread out over the whole country. There's a lot of people down here, just the same as people enjoy hooking up with their old college persons or high school friends, and it's the same with us, And we're losing a lot of them too, man. A lot of guys are, Rob Grill just recently, and we worked with Rob a lot, Grassroots, over the years.
Yeah, great band, very underrated.
Yeah, and I think that, he was ill for a long time, and, like he was out there performing anyway. And, man, I'll tell you, sometimes I would see him on stage. I said, man, I don't know if he should be up there,
Yeah.
But a lot of guys, they're biting the dust these days, man, and you got to just realize let's take advantage of the time we have and, get together.
Well, it's a treat that you're coming right into our backyard in Manistee. Little River Casino this Friday night. Of course, you can go to littlerivercasino.com for more details. And Felix, I know you're very much looking forward to that show as well.
I am, and I enjoy speaking to you guys. So I hope I get a chance to say hello to you in person.
Look forward to it, Felix. Hey, thanks for the time, man. Appreciate it, and keep on rocking.
All right, man.
Well, John, another great one. Felix Cavalier of the Young Rascals, and he'll be here this coming Friday night at Little River Casino. Congratulations to everybody who won pairs of passes to the show already today. If you'd like another chance to pick those up, well, then come and see me as I'm setting up at the Habitat Restore right now on Airline Road, just off the exit at US 31. We're going to be here till noon today. So come on down, grab a pair of tickets to the Rascals. I have some WLCS t-shirts, movie passes to the Cinema Carousel, and of course the Habitat Restore has so much to offer. We'd love to have you come down and check out this great new addition to Muskegon and your home projects. The Habitat Restore on Airline Road at the US 31 exit. While we're waiting for you to show up, we'll play one more great Young Rascals tune. Here's A Girl Like You on Classic Hits 98.3.
I don't know what it's all about, but I feel I'll soon find out. I'm sure never felt this secure. It's nothing like I ever thought it would be. Someone opened up a door for me. A girl like you, girl like you. Must be you that caused this feeling in me. You that fills me confidently. You that brings the best out of me. Nobody but you. I don't know what it's all about. I can't begin to figure out what to do, so I'll leave it to you. Only know that when you're away from me, nothing satisfies the need in me for a girl like you. A girl like you. Must be you that caused this feeling in me. You that fills me confidently. You that brings the best out in me. You. Nobody. Oh, yeah. Every time I'm holding you close to me, trouble's gone.